to the Big Sky Conference Hall of Fame induction ceremony. To the Big Sky Conference Hall of Fame induction ceremony.
Good evening and welcome to the second Big Sky Conference Hall of Fame induction ceremony and our very first here at the beautiful Northern Quest Resort and Casino in Spokane, Washington. Thank you all so much for being here or watching at home on ESPN Plus or across the Scripps Sports platforms. I'm John Casper, Senior Associate Commissioner at the Big Sky Conference, and it is my huge honor to host this event once again. I'm joined on stage tonight by my talented colleague, Alex Eshelman, who will be conducting our interviews. I want to give a huge shout out to the crew here tonight working for Scripps Sports. Many of them are behind the curtain tonight, like this is Oz. So, I'd like to invite Commissioner Tom Wistrcill up on stage to say a few words. When Commissioner Wistrcill took over in 2018, he was astonished that we did not yet have a Hall of Fame. He made it a priority to change that. And on behalf of all of us, thank you, Commissioner Wistrcill. It's my privilege to welcome you to the stage.
All right, thank you. Thanks, John. Thank you. Well, good evening, everyone. Great to be here. It's so nice to see all of you. I am continually amazed at the deep connections within the Big Sky Conference. And I run into people all over the United States who, when they see me with my Big Sky pin on or a hat or a golf shirt, they're like, hey, Big Sky Conference. I went to Northern Arizona. I'm a Sac State grad. I'm from Montana. It's just nonstop. And that connectivity is alive in this room, not only with the honorees tonight, but just with the history around 60 years of the Big Sky Conference. And I was doing some reading up on some of the honorees, but first I want to do a little math. I was not a math major, but I did calculate that in 60 years we've had roughly, keyword roughly, 200,000 student athletes. That's a lot. That is a lot. So considering this is our second class of Hall of Famers, so far, you Hall of Famers have had a 0.00014% chance of getting in the Hall of Fame. How about that? Let's just clap for that. Those are the odds that I have of winning money at the blackjack tables tonight, too. So be careful out there. There's some people I just want to recognize a little bit here before we get going. First of all, where's the Stevenson family out there? I saw, where are they at? There they are. They're right here. So, you know, obviously Ron Stevenson, former commissioner, he's not with us, but his family is here. It's really special as a commissioner to have your family here and for us to be able to recognize him and his accomplishments. That's very special to the conference. What Ron did was amazing, and I'm really glad we're here to celebrate him, and all of you are here to be part of that, and we can do that. So thank you for being here tonight. So I'm not going to bounce around to all 14, but there was a couple of connections here that I found interesting. So Lindsay Anderson at Weber State, she was a runner at Weber State. She goes to Missouri to coach, and now she's back to Weber State. Well, why wouldn't you want to come back and be in the Big Sky Conference, right? So excited for her. I was excited. I was reading an article about Kim Exner and all her. Well, that's what I was going to say. I was like, it's like this group of girl power that's stuck together through these years, and they're all here tonight to be part of it. That's what this is all about. On a personal note, Larry Krastoyak and his wife Jan, their son and my son were high school teammates in Salt Lake City playing basketball a few years ago. That's what the Big Sky is about. It's very unique. I've worked all over the country, and the connection that we have to the history of the Big Sky here is very unique. I'm so glad we can celebrate that tonight. For you honorees, my challenge to you is not only to reflect on what you accomplished with your team and that sort of thing, but reach out to some people who aren't here. I'm speaking a little bit as a son of a former coach. Nothing means more to your coaches and your teammates, those of you that you haven't stayed in touch with, give them a call tomorrow, the next day, just to say thank you. That's incredibly meaningful to those people. So that's my encouragement for each of you that are getting honored here tonight. So with that, let's have a great time celebrating tonight. Let's be loud. Let's cheer for these incredible athletes that we have and have a lot of fun. Thank you again for being here. Have a great night.
You were supposed to tell them that they have to laugh at my jokes. So come on, Tom. I actually have in my script, it says, like, stop for laughs. So we'll see if we can get any. It's already been quite a day here for us at the Big Sky. Earlier this afternoon, we had more than 100 kids out at a local high school where we had our 24 student athletes who are here representing the football teams. It was a great event, and we closed it by having each one of the kids run the 40-yard dash. And, there was a time when I ran the 40-yard dash in under 4.6 seconds. And with my 30th high school reunion coming up next week, I thought, well, see if I still had it. Jerron I thought maybe tonight we could race 2. After about 12 yards, everyone told me to stop because we didn't have enough time to finish the race and make it to this event on time. Pause for laughs. All right. Before we get rolling with the introductions, and Shannon's up here already, I'd like to thank the members of our Hall of Fame committee, several who are in attendance tonight. They have a really tough job, as Tom just pointed out, figuring out who gets to go in this Hall of Fame. And we have Dave Cook from Eastern Washington, Bill Lamberty from Montana State, Mike Nesbitt, who I know is so jacked to be here tonight from Northern Arizona. Mike Lund from Portland State, Brian Berger from Sacramento State. The athletic director from Northern Arizona, Mike Marlowe, serves as our liaison with the athletic directors. Janie Nadolski from our staff has joined this committee as SWA. I've been colleagues with her for 19 years at the Big Sky. She played in the Big Sky, and I think she thought if she got on the committee, like she was automatically going to be in the Hall of Fame. But that's not the way it works, Janie. We also have some other dignitaries here tonight. As Tom mentioned, coaches play such a vital role. And some of them have come back tonight to support their former student athletes. I know this lady's going to get a huge ovation. Pam Parks, Eastern Washington, former SWA. Lois Matthijs from Sacramento State's here tonight as the Hornets get their first 3 inductees. Thanks for being here, Lois. I think Dennis Murphy from Montana was supposed to be here. I got you on my script. Are you here? Yeah. All right, boom. Longtime certified athletic trainer. Rob Stark is here tonight for Shannon Butler. And Ronnie Harrison, former Portland State track and field coach, here tonight. Thank you all so much for being here. It means so much. And if I missed anyone, I apologize. Those are the ones that I knew were here. But as Tom said, we have such a great conference, and we support each other through and through. So I'd also like to take a moment to recognize some representatives from some of our great partners. Jeremiah Johnson, the president of Jeremiah Johnson Brewing, is in the house. That's from Great Falls, Montana, which is my hometown. Phil Haugen, the COO of Northern Quest Resort and Casino. They're the presenting sponsor for our football kickoff event this year. And Kevin Klostra, I hope I pronounced that right, senior account executive at Barron Rings. Just last week, our Learfield partnership closed a deal with Barron Rings, and I'm proud to say that each of our inductees tonight will be receiving a beautiful Hall of Fame ring courtesy of Barron Rings. Thank you all for being here and supporting us. Just 22 days ago, the Big Sky Conference turned 60, and I think we look darn good for 60. Tonight, we are honoring Olympic athletes and coaches, former NFL and CFL and NBA stars. We have Hall of Famers from Russia, Estonia, Canada, and Trinidad. We also have Hall of Famers from small towns like Eureka, Montana, Shelby, Burley, and Morgan, Utah. The past year has also been a time to celebrate the 50th anniversary of Title IX, and we are so thrilled to be inducting 6 strong, powerful, and smart women who epitomize everything wonderful about that impactful legislation. All right, here we go. Our first inductee in the Big Sky Conference Hall of Fame.
Shannon Butler won 2 individual national championships along with 12 Big Sky titles during his tenure at Montana State as he competed in cross country along with indoor and outdoor track. In 1991, Butler captured the U.S. Track and Field Championship in the 10,000, finishing the New York City race in 28 minutes, 9.4 seconds. The Eureka, Montana native was inducted into Montana State's Hall of Fame in 2001. Shannon Butler, Montana State Bobcat, and member of the Big Sky Conference Hall of Fame.
Race. I think of the last race on a Friday night at the Big Sky Conference Outdoor Track and Field Championship. Shannon, tonight you don't have to wait. You get to do this first and then sit back and relax. Butler grew up in Eureka, Montana, near the Canadian border, about 230 miles east of here. After a year at Auburn in the SEC, Butler returned to Montana, where he dominated the distance events for the Bobcats in Bozeman. Butler won 12 Big Sky Conference titles and 2 NCAA national championships. In 1991, he won the 15, the 5, and the 10,000 at the Outdoor Track and Field Championships. He was the first to accomplish that feat. Later that year, Butler won the 10,000 of the United States Track and Field National Championships and did so wearing his Montana State uniform. Please welcome Shannon Butler to the Big Sky Conference Hall of Fame.
All right, Shannon. First of all, congratulations. And congratulations to all the inductees. I just want to start off by saying thank you for giving me some of your time up here on stage tonight, as well as a phone call with most of you earlier this week. One of them was with you. Now let's start by going all the way back to where you're from, Eureka, Montana. You decide to go to Auburn. Why? And if I'm telling the story right, or starting it off right, the weather had something to do with it.
The weather did have something to do with it. It was probably 20 below, and also at that particular time I had broken my foot, and so I was in a crutch all winter long. So it was very miserable, and I got down there to Auburn, and it was sunny and 75, and there was lots of pretty girls. And the coach happened to be the 1984 Olympic head coach, Mel Rosen, and they had a great team. I did the math, and I think I made a pretty good decision.
You did make a good decision.
But
yes, but you go for a year, and you say, I miss the Treasure State. How did Coach Stark play into you coming back to your home state and competing for the Bobcats?
well, when I got out of college or high school, I was recruited by quite a few schools and a lot of schools in the Big Sky. And Coach Stark actually drove all the way to Eureka, Montana, and had dinner with me and my family and recruited me. He was the only coach when I said that I've decided not to go to school in the Big Sky, I'm going to go to Auburn. He looked at me unwaveringly and said, if you ever change your mind, you always have an opportunity to be a Bobcat. I didn't think much of it then. I went to Auburn. I had a great time and met some great people, had great experiences, and was fairly successful. I was all SEC my sophomore year, but I just missed it so much. I wanted to come back to Montana, and I did. And I came back, and I didn't know what I was going to do for sure, although I thought that maybe I wasn't going to run again, and maybe just get a job and live a normal life, I guess. I called Rob for advice, and he said, "You remember what I told you? You always have a chance to be a Bobcat." I was in Bend, Oregon at the time, sleeping on a mattress on the floor. My life changed. I packed up my stuff and I said, I'm going to be a Bobcat. I'm going to Bozeman, and I'm not looking back. And I am not going to let this man down.
One of the best Bobcats. 12 individual Big Sky Conference titles for you.
True.
You punch your ticket to the USA National Championship in New York. And instead of going with Nike, Adidas, household brand name, you decide to wear your Montana State uniform. Why?
True story. I won 2 weeks prior to the U.S. National Championship in Randall's Island, New York. I won the Division I national title in Eugene in front of Bill Bowerman, the original founder of Nike. And they wanted to sign me, and after I won that race, everybody wanted to sign me and to go professional, because at that point I could. And I had already planned this out a year in advance. No way. I want to win a U.S. championship with Montana State on my jersey. And I was fortunate enough that that's what happened.
We have to wrap it up, Shannon, but I just want to give you a moment. Coach Stark is in the audience. You have people here for you.
Yeah.
You have Bobcat fans watching. What's your message to them?
I think, first of all, my message is 96% of the people that made it possible for me to even be sitting here today are here today for me. And I love every one of them so much. My high school coach, Dave McFadgen, I wouldn't have even gotten to Montana State if it wasn't for him. My sister's here. My best friend's here. It's awesome. I'm so thankful. And thank you.
We're thankful for you being here. Congratulations. Everybody give it up for Shannon.
Thank you so much.
Charles Roberts remains one of the all-time great running backs in Big Sky history. Roberts was a three-time All-American for the Hornets while rushing for 6,554 total yards, which ranks as the most ever in the Big Sky and second in the FCS history books. After his career concluded at Sacramento State, Roberts played 8 seasons in the Canadian Football League and was named an All-Star from 2001 to 2007. He was inducted into Sacramento State's Football Hall of Fame in 2008. Charles Roberts, Sacramento State Hornet and member of the Big Sky Conference Hall of Fame.
All right. When I think of our next inductee, three things immediately come to mind. 409 yards, 5'6", and is the first attempts at hitting a golf ball on a driving range at the Big Sky Summer Kickoff more than 20 years ago in Park City, Utah. Do you remember this? I think you went the right route with football. In 1999, Charles Roberts set the NCAA Division I single-game record with 409 rushing yards. Let that sink in. 409 yards in one game. The native of Montclair, California, rushed for a Big Sky and FCS single-season record, 2,260 yards as a sophomore, 2,082 as a junior, behind an offensive lineman dubbed the Hammerheads. During his career, he went for more than 100 yards in 16 straight games, and at one point amassed more than 200 in 4 straight. To this day, Roberts is first on the Big Sky's all-time list for rushing yards in a game, rushing yards in a season, and rushing yards in a career. Roberts went on to a Hall of Fame career in the CFL, where he remains one of only 5 players in league history to surpass 10,000 career rushing yards. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Charles Blink Roberts into the Big Sky Hall of Fame.
Let's go back to Southern California. That's where you were born and raised. Originally a basketball player. How'd you make the transition to football?
Everybody told me I wasn't tall enough. But Also football, the same thing. You know, people said I was too small to play, and I set out to prove them wrong.
You certainly did.
Thank you.
Going to Sacramento State. When we were talking on the phone, you said one big change for me going from Southern California to the Sacramento area, it was a little hotter. I'm from Sacramento, so I understand.
Right.
It gets a little hotter in the valley there. But you were not fazed by the heat. How would you describe your experience at Sac State?
It was a wonderful experience. It was a learning experience, obviously. You know, you're going from high school, a young child, I would suppose, to a growing man. You know, learning to be on my own, meeting new people, meeting different people. You know, it was an opportunity for me to kind of find myself and, you know, set out and accomplish the goals that I had set for myself.
What were those goals?
You know, to be, I guess, a starter on the football team, number one. I never anticipated having the type of career that, you know, one day I would be honored as a Hall of Fame athlete, but I wanted to prove myself as a you know, accomplished athlete, and I think I did that.
You're a Hall of Famer here now. What was the moment like when you got the call that you were going to be inducted into this year's class?
It was a big surprise, a pleasant surprise. I, you know, had no idea that, you know, they were even thinking about me to be put in the Hall of Fame. So when I got the call from John over there, it was, you know, really, you know, mind-boggling that after so many years, you know, I'm still being thought of and being bestowed this honor.
I'm happy you brought up John, because earlier this week we were talking about your career, and he compared you to Barry Sanders. He said, despite you not being the tallest guy on the roster, you used your height to your advantage, and you proved those people wrong, like you were talking about when you were a kid. How did you use your height to your advantage?
I don't know that I necessarily used it to my advantage. It just, you know, determination more than anything, but my speed, I trained real hard, you know, got as strong as I could, really learned the game as best I could, and that was really a part of my success.
You go on to have a successful career in the CFL. What's one lesson, experience, memory that you took from your time in Sacramento into your professional career and beyond?
Not to get discouraged when you start, you know, at the bottom of the depth chart. You know, there's going to be plenty of opportunity to make your mark, and when I got up there, it was that situation. I was at the bottom of the depth chart, and I had to work my way up, but I had that experience from being at Sac State to lean back on.
I want to give you a moment. I'm going to give every inductee a moment. You have people here for you tonight. You have Sacramento State fans watching. Any message that you want to share?
Just, you know, that time in my life and, you know, that point in my career was, you know, probably the best that there was as far as football goes. We started at Sac State. We were a small program and just building, and we started some momentum. Sac State now is, you know, I climbed the hill, and they're on top of the hill right now, and I think we were, my teammates, that was a part of that building process. We started that foundation for Sac State.
Speaking from being from Sacramento, thank you for all that you've done for my hometown, and congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Give it up.
Lindsay Anderson finished her career at Weber State as a two-time All-American after competing for the Wildcats from 2004 to 2007. She set school records in both the steeplechase and the 10,000-meter outdoors, as well as the 5,000-meter indoors while competing in Ogden. In July of 2008, Anderson became the first student athlete from Weber State to qualify for the Summer Olympics after finishing second overall at the U.S. Olympic trials in the steeplechase. Lindsay Anderson, Weber State University Wildcat, and member of the Big Sky Conference Hall of Fame.
A few years ago, Weber State produced a university public service announcement TV commercial that ran across the state during its games. It featured a guy named Damian Lillard and our next inductee, Lindsay Anderson. I absolutely loved that PSA because I just felt like it showed that it highlighted the path of two world-class athletes from Weber State and the Big Sky Conference. It had this music about, I'm just going to climb right up that hill, and it just totally stuck with me, and I thought Weber State did an amazing job with that. Damian Lillard was not the first Weber State athlete to make it to the Olympics. That honor belongs to Lindsay. She competed in the 2008 Summer Games in Beijing in the steeplechase. Anderson from Morgan, Utah, was a two-time All-American and a six-time Big Sky individual champion. In 2007, she was the Big Sky's representative for the NCAA Woman of the Year. As a senior, she became the collegiate record holder in the steeplechase and became the first athlete in league history to win the steeplechase, the 5,000, and the 10,000 in the same championship. She has gone on to a very successful coaching career, and it was announced last week that Anderson will be returning to Weber State. Lindsay, welcome home, and welcome to the Hall of Fame.
Lindsay, like all the inductees here tonight, your long list of accolades goes pretty far back. Let's go to where you went to high school, Morgan, Utah. Five-time state title holder between track and field and cross country. Why did you decide that Weber State was going to be your place as to where you were going to continue your athletic career?
Well, for me, I had been recruited by a couple other schools. At the time, it was Coach Blaisdell, who was the head coach, who worked hand-in-hand with Coach Hislop. And Weber State just felt like a great option for me. I knew that it was going to be a good fit. I was very underdeveloped out of high school, so I certainly wanted to go somewhere that I felt like I could progress, and Weber State ended up being the best choice for me and best decision I could have made.
It was a good choice, to say the least. Like John said, first Weber State Wildcat to be qualified and compete in the Olympics. Amazing. Mm-hmm. What was your reaction when you accomplished that feat?
Well, I think the very last picture on the slide had my hands up going like that with my just shock, but not shock, I just really a realization that it had actually happened, because it was something that both myself and Coach Pilkington knew that was a reality, or knew was a possibility, but that's the moment it became a reality. And it was, I can't, if people ask me how did it feel, even now, like I'll think back about that race and I'll get goosebumps, because it was everything that could go right went right in that race, and it was amazing to have it all come together.
One thing that I loved that you said in our conversation yesterday, one of the days, about you accomplishing that for yourself, you said that it was really important for me to fall in love with the process of working towards that, but not necessarily focusing on the outcome. How did you train yourself to think that way? Because it's, I mean, as we all know, it's so easy to just try to, you want the end goal so badly. How did you block that out?
Well, I think that as a distance athlete, for anybody that's done any kind of endurance sport, you start to learn different techniques of how to do things like that. But for me, and most of those athletes too, it's not that you wake up one day and say, I'm going to go qualify for the Olympics. It's a process that takes a lot of time and commitment. And if you're focused on the right things, which is the hard work and the commitment and the effort that you have to put in to even train to have a possibility at that, then that's when the reality of it can actually happen. But still, even then, things have to go right on the day, at the right time, at the right moment, and I'm very fortunate that I've had a lot of people that have helped me along the way to get to that moment, and even now moving forward, it's just a really fun memory for me, but there's a lot of exciting things coming next for me as well.
Speaking of everything coming next for you, you're coming back to Utah, your home state, to coach for your alma mater. Why is that important for you to pay it forward?
Well, I feel very fortunate with the experiences that I've had, both as an athlete when I was running in college, my post-collegiate time when I was an elite professional athlete, when I was running at the Olympics. All those things were great, but once I started coaching and started to learn more about the other side of the athletic world, I really started to fall in love with that side of it too. And so I've had some very unique opportunities in my coaching to get me to the point where I feel very excited and ready to come back to Weber State and just to continue to work with athletes and help them do things that they never thought that they could do. And I would love for an athlete to have that same feeling crossing a finish line, whether it's at the Olympics or somewhere else, when they just have their hands up on their head, not just finally having that reality hit them as well.
Congratulations, Lindsay.
Thank
Thank you
you
so much for being here. We appreciate it. Anything else you want to say? I know you have family here. You have Wildcat fans watching, former coaches.
Sure, yeah. No, the biggest thing is just, a huge thank you to my family. My parents have been there through it all, so I'm very thankful for them. My husband, Mark, he's put maybe, especially in college, he put probably over 30,000 miles on our car, driving to all the different races that he came and watched me at. My coaches at Weber State, I started with Coach Blaisdell. Halfway through my career, it was Coach Pilkington who took over once Coach Blaisdell retired, and my running was able to elevate to a new level with him, and to be able to work with Coach Hislop in the steeplechase for some of that as well. I feel very fortunate for the coaches that I was able to work with and that I will be able to continue to work with at Weber State, and just in the Big Sky in general. I'm very proud to represent the Big Sky too.
Well, we're excited to have you back at Weber State. Congrats again, Lindsay. Give it up for Lindsay.
Thank you.
Ron Stevenson served as the commissioner of the Big Sky Conference from 1981 to 1995. The Idaho native brought instant credibility to the league's office after spending a decade in athletic administration at Boise State. While Stevenson was commissioner, he managed the merger of women's sports programs into the Big Sky Conference from the Mountain West Athletic Conference. In 1988, the Big Sky Conference began sponsoring women's sports and championships. Stevenson passed away in 2011 at the age of 67. Ron Stevenson, league commissioner and member of the Big Sky Conference Hall of Fame.
Ron Stevenson served as the Big Sky Conference Commissioner from 81 to 1995, but had Big Sky in his veins long before that. Raised in Burley, Idaho, Commissioner Stevenson holds degrees from Boise State, although I think it was Boise Junior College back then, University of Idaho, and Idaho State University. He never really played tennis, but he served as Idaho's tennis coach because they needed a tennis coach, and his teams won 4 Big Sky Conference titles. After a decade serving in athletic administration at Boise State, Stevenson became the Big Sky's first full-time commissioner. During his tenure, the league won 2 1AA national football titles, and the Idaho Vandals advanced to the Sweet 16 of the NCAA basketball tournament. The league also appeared on ESPN for the first time. And as noted in the video, and as we've talked about with Title IX, he was the commissioner when the Big Sky brought in the teams from the Mountain West and began sponsoring women's sports in 1988. Sadly, Commissioner Stevenson passed away in 2011. We are honored to have his sons Mike and Mark in attendance tonight. Where are you guys at? If you would stand, please. There you are. His wife Barbara is also here. Barbara, there you are. As well as several other family members and friends. Thank you all so much for being here. And tonight we will hear about Ron Stevenson from his trusted Big Sky colleague and a member of our Hall of Fame committee, Arnie Scalio.
Ron was the assistant AD at Boise State, really the right-hand man for Lyle Smith, who was a legend, of course, in the football end of it, and as an athletic director, and very well-known guy. And when I moved to the conference office, I got to know Ron when he was at Boise State. There are many great things about Ron. But one of the things was it was always about the people. And what told me a lot in looking back were other leagues, bigger leagues, respected us because we weren't trying to be something that we weren't. We knew what we had. We did the best with what we had. And people respected us for that. Didn't look down their noses at them. And that, looking back, was pretty amazing. Because in those days, you had the Pac-8 and, Pac-12 and whatever it is now. But those leagues were very complimentary. And plus, if they played us in basketball, they didn't like coming to our arenas. And seldom did they schedule us. And in football, you go back and look at the history, there's quite a few times where we knocked some of those guys off. So, but Ron, he was always about that. And Ron was respected, and the league very respected, and I think a lot because of him. When he became commissioner, really guided the conference into a new era. The league was very strong in football, had a good background and a good history in basketball, but the times were changing. TV was changing. A lot of things were happening, and Ron had some good visions on some things. We were one of the first leagues in the country, not only at our level, but to have corporate partners. And so that was kind of a big thing. I think in the late 80s, we might have been the first FCS conference to have a television package. And, Ron, although it was all kind of new, he looked at that and saw that it would benefit the league, and it really did. He was so good that way. Steady hand. And even though sometimes he'd get into it with coaches, they always respected him when it was all said and done. So, those are the things that I really remember. And, he was a great guy to work for, treated all our staff very, very well. And we were a team. I can truly say that. Kind of an overused cliche. But he cared about us personally, took wonderful care of us, and he was a friend, and I miss him very much. And I'm so glad he's being honored, and appreciate all that the league is doing to keep the memory of a lot of these folks in the forefront.
Could we have Mike and Mark come up to get the plaque, please?
Archie Emerson won the Walter Payton Award in 1996, following one of the best offensive outputs in college football history, as he rushed for over 2,000 yards, 25 touchdowns, and also set various single-season national records in Flagstaff. Following a successful career in the Canadian Football League, Emerson had his jersey retired by Northern Arizona and is currently on the College Football Hall of Fame ballot. Archie Emerson, Northern Arizona Lumberjack, and member of the Big Sky Conference Hall of Fame.
Our next inductee remains the Big Sky Conference only running back to win the Walter Payton Award, given annually to the top offensive football player at the FCS level. We've had a lot of quarterbacks, a wide receiver, only running back right there. Archie Emerson's 1996 season remains one of legend. He became the first running back in league history to rush for 2,000 yards in a season. He scored 26 touchdowns, including a Big Sky and FCS record 7 in one game. I heard a story from the opposing SID of that game where, they handed the ball to you, and he went, he's gone, and off you went 80 yards into the end zone. It all almost didn't happen. After starring as a running back at Dixie Junior College, which is now known as Utah Tech, Amerson went to NAU because he wanted to play defensive back. Because of an injury to another running back prior to the 95 season, Amerson ended up returning to offense. And he spent like 5 minutes today telling this story to our football players, and it was quite a story. But you know what? I think it worked out pretty well for you. He went on to a successful career in the CFL with the Hamilton Tiger Cats. His number 9 hangs from the rafters at the Walk-Up Sky Dome. And I know longtime NAU athletic trainer Mike Nesbitt is excited about this right now. Right, Nez? Yeah. All right. Archie Amerson, welcome to the Big Sky Hall of Fame.
Archie, congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
When you were making the decision to go from Dixie State, which is what is now Utah Tech, what made Flagstaff stand out to you?
Well, I had a friend that was there, Jared Loggins, rest in peace, and there was some stuff that had went on. I wasn't really getting recruited, and he called me and said, we got a DB spot. And I was like, perfect, because I didn't want to play offense no more. So I was like, he was like, so would you take a trip? I said, I'll take a trip tomorrow if they let me, just to be on defense again. So that's how I got to NAU. My hometown friend called me, and I took the trip, and I signed right on the spot.
So why didn't you want to be on offense anymore?
Because who wants to get hit? I'd rather hit. I was a guy who loved hitting. So, I mean, I didn't want to get hit. I wanted to be the hitter.
But then you ended up back on staying as a running back then.
But they made me play running back.
Okay.
That wasn't my choice.
What was your reaction when they said, no, you're going to stay on offense?
I said, I'm going home. And then I called my mom, and she said, no, you're not.
I bet you're pretty grateful for your mom, to your mom for that one.
Yeah, she didn't play no game. She wasn't having that coming back home stuff.
Lone Walter Payton award-winning running back in our league. And I'm not trying to age you here, but that was almost 3 decades ago.
A long time ago.
I mean, when you look at that accomplishment, it's still sitting on top of the history books. Why is that such a difficult feat?
I mean, I don't know. It's been people who had the stats, but I guess they just didn't got lucky, I guess.
7 rushing touchdowns in that one game.
Yes, I damn near died that game. We were just telling the story on the last touchdown. It was like a 70-some yard touchdown, and I dove in the end zone and laid on my back. And I was like, I have no more left. And Nez had to come out there and get me off the field.
What'd you put in the cereal that day? I just have to know.
I mean, I never ate before the game, so nothing.
What?
No, I couldn't. I couldn't eat before games.
Oh, well, it worked out for you.
You know what happened? I think because Weber State coach cussed me out because I was supposed to go to Weber State and I chose Dick NAU. I think I took it personal when I played against Weber State.
Any other memories along those lines that kind of stick out to you when you think back to your time of competing with Northern Arizona?
I just remember, I had a great offensive line. And then the running back who was supposed to be there, Brian Garbrough, he had hurt his knee. So that's how I ended up having to play offense. And he was unselfish. When he came back, he ended up being the fullback, and he would block. He made it real easy on me.
You move on, have an incredible career in the CFL, win a Grey Cup. What's one lesson or thing that you took with you into your professional career from your time with the Lumberjacks?
Just stay hungry. And, as a smaller guy, we always had to beat people. It couldn't be close. That's why I was telling the kids that we talked to, young men that we talked to earlier, you just had to outwork everybody. Like, don't make it a competition. You have to make it not be a competition and just make the coaches play you no matter what.
In addition to giving some advice to the former players and student athletes here, anything you want to say to your mom who told you should stay on offense?
Well, my mom's no longer here. Rest in peace, Mom.
Yes.
But, my dad and, everybody was always there. My family was always there. And they always pushed me. And, when I grew up, it was a lot of gang stuff. So they wasn't having me going home. They was like, you're not going to come here and be in the streets. You're going to stay where you at, and you're going to handle it.
Anything else for the Lumberjack fans out there? Former coaches, teammates?
Yes, I mean, I love them all. They always supported me. I still talk to a few of them all the time. And then, of course, Nez, you know, he got my number. He helped get my number retired, and he helped get me here. So I have to thank him.
Congratulations, Archie.
All right, thank you.
Give it up for Archie.
Dr. Virginia Ginny Hunt arrived in Bozeman in 1977 with a vision for Montana State athletics and the amount of ambition and enthusiasm necessary to build a program from scratch. While working at MSU, Hunt was also a strong voice on the national level for opportunities in athletics at all levels for women. She was most recently honored by the National Association of Collegiate Women Athletic Administrators with a Lifetime Achievement Award. Hunt passed away in 2022 at the age of 86. Dr. Ginny Hunt, Montana State Bobcat and member of the Big Sky Conference Hall of Fame.
I really, really wished Ginny Hunt could be here tonight. She was a true pioneer of women's athletics, and it would be so fitting as we celebrate 50 years to have her here, but we're honoring her. During her senior year of high school back in her home state of Iowa, she was reportedly told that women could not compete in competitive sports because it may harm them prior to their childbearing years. She decided her mission in life was to teach and coach so all women would have the opportunity to play and excel in competitive sports. In 1977, she began her tenure as the first athletic director for women's sports at Montana State. At her first women's game, there were 250 fans in attendance. At her last before her retirement, 5,000 fans packed the Brick Breeden Fieldhouse to see the Bobcats win their first Big Sky title. As noted, Dr. Hunt passed away at the age of 86 this past November. Alex Eshelman was able to interview current Montana State women's coach Trish Binford about the lasting impact of Dr. Hunt.
Dr. Virginia Ginny Hunt arrived in Bozeman in 1970.
It's certainly an honor, mostly since it's relatively new with the Big Sky, and to be inducted in the second year is like something that was totally unexpected. It would have been more fun to be there because I would like to have met them. All those athletes there who are getting rewards, and I hope, I know the volleyball player who is, she was terrific, and so it would have been nice to see her now as opposed to when she played, and I hope some of my players get there someday. I like making sure that my teams are fundamentally sound, and I like devising things for them to do on the court that fit their talents. The other thing is I think I'm kind of a matter-of-fact, candid type.
I can't tell you how many text messages I still go through and look at to this day of how she would give an encouragement text after a game, or just reach out like kids played awesome, or after the end of the year banquet. There was just numerous always a follow-up of support, and I think so much of that was her understanding of what coaches are going through, the stress of kind of bringing a team together, but seeing that from the stands and seeing it from her perspective and being able to guide and do that. What a gift to have that here from my very first day up until my last days with her. When I came into this job, what I had known growing up is all I knew were the opportunities that I had in place. I had parents that kind of saw like every opportunity that my brother had, or my sister and I were going to have, and we just always had that support. That's all we knew. In the places that I had chosen, I felt those things along the way. But when I got here, and you look at how Jenny was always constantly fighting for the next step and what was also necessary, of just not settling for, these are great things that we're providing, but we can also provide these resources here, or we can help set them up for success there. That we have to continue pushing that envelope. The people like Jenny Hunt are the reasons why we're getting to do what we do today, and I need to be a part of her legacy, and I need to help carry that torch because she put her whole life into that, and she's made a tremendous difference in Bozeman. But she has absolutely crushed this on a national stage, and if you talk to anybody that's very familiar with the history of Title IX, and the advocates for those things. They will, I would be shocked if they didn't know who Jenny Hunt was, because she has really made an impact on a national stage. And so Montana State gets to be a part of that. I got choked up at the Cat Grizz volleyball game. It was the first game that they hosted here in the field house. And Jenny Hunt was just as passionate about supporting the success of our volleyball program. And she was really involved in their Side Out Club. And but when they hosted the Cat Grizz volleyball game in the arena, the first of its kind, and it was sold out, I was like choked up, because I'm like, that doesn't happen without Jenny Hunt's fingerprints on that. I mean, it was just all over it. And I'm like, it was just a piece about Jenny and where her legacy has gotten Montana State to. Like, we're doing these things, and she was such a big piece of that. So I'm like, she will always be missed, and she will rest well, but she has left this university in very, very good hands. When I go back to our leadership and the support for all of our student athletes across the board, she's just a game changer, and she was so caring and just loved student athletes and just wanted them to thrive in every facet, and they certainly are. She just was so supportive. I'm like, I go back to the texts, and there were just so many of, when it could be a negative text, she always was finding something to be, some kind of light in it, and she was just such an encourager. So I hope people will remember how much she cared. She cared, she loved, she was passionate, she was driven, she was determined, and there is no ceiling for what we can do when you have a determination like Jenny Hunt.
Jerome Black left Portland State as one of the most dominant sprinters in Big Sky history, winning 7 individual titles. Black did not lose a Big Sky race in the indoor 55 or 60 meter in her career, and won 3 of 4 Big Sky titles in the 100 meter. Following her collegiate career, she qualified for the 2014 World Indoor Championships and was inducted into Portland State's Hall of Fame in 2018. Jerome Black, Portland State Viking and member of the Big Sky Conference Hall of Fame.
All right. According to her collegiate coach, Ronnie Harrison, Jerome Black was never satisfied with just winning. Winning meant she just had to work that much harder to keep winning. She did a lot of winning at Portland State, and that is the reason she is the first male or female sprinter and the first Portland State Viking to be inducted in the Hall of Fame. Born in Trinidad but raised in Brooklyn, she won 10 conference titles, 7 individuals, and lost just 1 time in a Big Sky Indoor or Outdoor Championship. That loss came to a teammate, and according to reports, I won't tell who maybe told me this story, Ronnie, your teammate was maybe a little bit passive about celebrating in front of her friend. Black finished her career with school championship and conference records in the indoor 55, the indoor 60, and the outdoor 100. She represented Trinidad and Tobago. It's great to get to do 2 countries. I've always wondered about that. You'll have to explain that to me, right? What? Both countries?
Yes.
Yeah,
Trinidad and Tobago.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
At the 2014 World Indoor Championships, qualifying in the 60 meters. I'm proud to say I presented a lot of those gold medals to you. And I mean, last night when I saw you, you just immediately thought I had one in my pocket. And you're like, Ben, I'm like, I don't just carry those around for you. But I'm so thrilled tonight to be presenting you tonight in the Big Sky Conference Hall of Fame. I was going to say, let's get out a stopwatch and see how quickly you could get up here, but you're so fast, you're already here. Welcome to the Hall of Fame.
We won't talk about that one loss past this question, but I do have to. Do you remember that that one teammate being a little scared?
Yes. And that is my best friend. So it was very hard to take that loss, but I was so happy for her. I'm just a really sore loser, so I sucked at showing it. But I was really happy for her.
One thing that Coach said to John last week or a couple of days ago as well is you were the most enthusiastic, or one of the most passionate, enthusiastic athletes that he was ever able to be around and coach. What impact did he have on you during your time at Portland State?
With Coach Harrison, who is here tonight, and I'm happy and blessed that you're here with me, he has a slogan, never let up. And I feel like it defines me. Every practice, every track meet, I wanted to win because I hate losing. So his program and his methods worked for me and helped me to be as successful as I am. Thank you, Coach Harrison, for all your hard work and for putting up with my attitude.
You grew up in New York, and we were talking about this last night. You said, when I was telling people that I was going across the country to go to school and compete at Portland State, they were like, why? Why are you going to Oregon?
Yes.
What stood out about Portland State to you?
I feel it was a one-in-a-lifetime opportunity for me, and it was the first time I tested my ability to trust myself and make my own decisions. Nobody outside of my family and friends knew anything, so I said I'll go find out for myself, tell you guys all about it. And so many years later, I'm happy I trusted myself and I made that move.
7 individual conference titles. Favorite memories from your time in Portland?
On the track or off the track?
All of them. Any which one?
My favorite track meet is actually indoors when I took 4th in the 200. I really suck at the 200, and being able to gain points for my team was a big deal for me. So that 4th place finish was one that stuck out to me, like I could really do this. And then outdoors, I was able to take 3rd, which I was happy because it's more points and a medal. So I really enjoyed just doing things that most may think I can't do or I'm incapable of doing. I have that competitive nature, so if you say I can't, it'll be my pleasure to show you otherwise.
Where do you get that competitive nature from? Yes, you know what? Yeah, that's a good. Where do you get that competitive nature from?
My mother, her name is Hazel Taylor, and she's also a Hall of Famer. She played basketball at Wayland Baptist University, and she is competitive. My husband would tell you we suck at board games. Any games that require a winner and a loser, we cannot play because we go there at anything.
When you got the call that you were going to be the first Portland State Viking to be inducted into the Big Sky Hall of Fame, take us back to that moment.
It was very emotional for me because I'm still younger, but to be recognized, I felt seen, I felt appreciated, I felt valued by my school and by Big Sky as a conference. So that is a moment I was silent, but I was embracing all that I was feeling, like I've done it. I've worked really hard, but to be acknowledged and noticed for that work is a feeling I can't replace with words. It's a feeling I'm still trying to embody as we speak. So I'm just really grateful for this opportunity. I'm really grateful.
Well, we're grateful to have you here.
Thank you.
You've given thanks to Coach Harrison.
Thank you.
Anything you want to say to Portland State fans that are watching, in the audience, family, friends?
Yeah. The naysayers are just as important as the people supporting you. If it wasn't for another student athlete telling me all his accolades my freshman year and saying, what have you done? What scorecard are you on? If it wasn't for that question and me saying, what have I done? I needed the naysayer, the people that didn't believe in me, so that I could tell them, Google me.
Google her. Google her. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
You are amazing. And she's got the best outfit here.
Thank you. Debbie Kohlberg tallied over 800 wins with the Hornets to highlight her amazing volleyball career. During her time in the Big Sky, she coached 6 MVPs, 21 first-team All-League selections, 14 second-team honorees, and 9 honorable mention picks. In 2008, Sacramento State named its volleyball and basketball home floor as Kohlberg Court in honor for the 32-year volleyball coach and AVCA Hall of Famer, Debbie Kohlberg, Sacramento State Hornet, and member of the Big Sky Conference Hall of Fame.
Debbie Kohlberg was already a very successful volleyball coach before Sacramento State joined the Big Sky Conference in 1996. She won a pair of national titles long before those Big Sky days, but moving to Division I and the Big Sky Conference was just another mountain that Kohlberg climbed. She coached in the Big Sky for 12 seasons, leading the Hornets to 8 regular season and 9 postseason championships. She may not have been warm and fuzzy, and her players didn't always like her, but she cared deeply about them, and the players respected her. She remains a highly respected club coach in California. Coach Kohlberg could not be in attendance tonight, but we hope she's watching as she's on the verge, or maybe it happened, of becoming a grandmother for the very first time. She's the first female coach and the first volleyball coach inducted into the Big Sky Conference Hall of Fame. She's represented tonight by a former player, Jill Haas-Benson. Jill, where are you? Thank you for being here. We're going to ask you to come up in a second, too, and accept the plaque. Alex Eshelman went home to Sacramento a couple weeks ago and was able to talk to Debbie.
It's certainly an honor, mostly since it's relatively new with the Big Sky, and to be inducted in the second year is like something that was totally unexpected. It would have been more fun to be there because I would like to have met them. All those athletes there who are getting rewards, and I hope, I know the volleyball player who is, she was terrific, and so it would have been nice to see her now as opposed to when she played. And I hope some of my players get there someday. I like making sure that my teams are fundamentally sound, and I like devising things for them to do on the court that fit their talents. The other thing is I think I'm kind of a matter-of-fact, candid type of person, and so the kids always knew where they stood with me, and there was definitely a line I would draw, but I had a lot of sort of affection and caring for them. I just wasn't overt about it, but they knew it, I think. I think I'm most proud of now is the number of contacts that I have with my past players. So, and almost any coach, I think, will tell you this. It's the people that you're working with that makes the job so rewarding. And so now to still have those contacts and be able to know them more than just as players. I have friends now, and some of my friends are 65 years old, my first players. So I have one who's retiring from Sac State in August. Okay, she's been in the accounting department for 36 years, and she's a terrific person, and so those are the types of things. And we have get-togethers with not all of them together because some of them don't even know each other, and so we will do it. I'll have this like little group over here that came from these years, and they want to hey, well, let's get together, and so we'll do that, and we'll all go out to lunch, and then it'll be same thing with another one. So having them as friends now is probably the most rewarding thing. It's special to me because this is my hometown for one thing, but I think people with different personalities fit in at different places, and this was just a good fit for me. And so, would another school have been as good a fit? That's an unknown. But I sure was comfortable here. I loved it here. And so I think me being happy with this situation sort of reflected how I coached. And so I would say that I grew up with this program. There was always a new challenge for me here. I think if we hadn't made those jumps in terms of going up in divisions, I might have been less enamored with staying. So I think at some point I wanted more of a challenge, and so by going up in divisions, I got that challenge. But I think one thing that did, this is a mid-level Division I program, and so that's sometimes attractive to me because I could have a life outside of it. So, I wanted a marriage, I wanted a family, and I didn't, and there's enough obsessing about the job at this level, and so to have to spend, 24 hours a day at it, was less attractive to me, and I would have had to move. Almost went to Michigan at one point. My husband was okay with it, and then it's and then I decided no. So Michigan, no. this is where I'm from. It's where all my friends are, my family, all those types of things. So I guess I'm just a homebody. And this campus, I don't know what more people would really want. So it was just a good fit for me all around, and my family.
Jamie Martin was the signal caller at Weber State from 1989 to 1992 and rewrote the record books for both the school and conference through the course of his career. Martin was a two-time All-American during his Wildcat career and won the 1991 Walter Payton Award, becoming just the second player in league history to accomplish that feat. Martin went on to play 14 seasons in the NFL, making stops with 9 different franchises. He was also the first athlete in Weber State history to have his jersey retired, which took place in 2014. Jamie Martin, Weber State University Wildcat, and member of the Big Sky Conference Hall of Fame.
Well, many of you here who've been around the league for a long time know who Brad Larson is. He's the boisterous former Weber State SID, and he wants our next inductee, quarterback Jamie Martin, to know he's still waiting. And the conversation went something like this last week. Hey, you know what? You tell Jamie he still owes me a round of golf at Pebble Beach. Yeah. If that trip ever happens, Jamie, I'd really like to come with you guys. Jamie Martin's Hall of Fame collegiate career didn't start with an under par round. He threw 6 interceptions in his first career start at Eastern Washington. He's probably thinking in his head, like, I'm in the Hall of Fame and you're mentioning that story. But there weren't many bad games after that. In '91, Martin became the second Big Sky player to win the Walter Payton Award. He threw for 4,125 yards and 35 touchdowns. And I think when you look at those numbers now, they seem pretty, like, a lot of guys do that. But in 1991, there wasn't a lot of guys. Those numbers are for 1991 are amazing. In one game, he threw 7 touchdowns, and that came over Eastern Washington. So you more than made up for that game long ago. He also set a Big Sky record with 624 passing yards against Idaho State. He left Weber State as the 1AA all-time leader in passing yards and total offense. That is really an amazing feat. He's the only player in Weber State football history to have his number retired. And as noted in the video, he enjoyed a lengthy career in the National Football League. Ironically enough, and this shows like the Big Sky world, he was once like my parents' neighbor in Main Point Boulevard in South Ogden, Utah. So that was the first time I met you like 20-some years ago when you happened to be there. I miss the Main Point Boulevard house. Jamie, please welcome, congratulations on being inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Jamie just made a comment when John was reading off his stats there. What'd you say?
Oh, I said that yardage figure, I think I'm always proud of because there was no bubble screens back in 1992. Like nowadays, bubble screens are half of the offense. So it's something I'm proud of. Yeah.
You grew up in Huntington Beach. Mm-hmm. And when we were talking, this is one of my favorite statements that I heard all week. You said, when I was driving from Southern California to Ogden, Utah, it was like going from one world to the next. Take us back to that car ride.
It was funny, yeah. It was a different world. It was a different culture. Coming from where I grew up to where I was fortunate enough to be able to go to school and play football. And at the time, being a stupid 18-year-old or whatever I was, I was having second thoughts. It was like, where am I? But I quickly realized how lucky I was to be in Ogden. And wait, Archie's still out there. I had a chance to go to Northern Arizona too, and the coaches there were not nice to me. That's why I went to Weber State. They took me up on the top of the mountain. They asked me if I wanted to ski. I said no. They took me on the top of the mountain on my recruiting trip, dropped me off, and took off down the mountain. I'd never skied before. took off my skis, walked down the mountain, and said, I'm not going to Northern Arizona, I'm going to Weber State. Yeah. So.
That first game with the handful of interceptions, what did you tell yourself after that game to then turn that into becoming a top 5 leader in the FCS in total offense and passing yards?
So that was football and all sports, as everybody here knows, it's full of obstacles, things you overcome, failures, most of it's failures. That was a big failure, and that was tough, but you overcome adversity, whether it's injuries, setbacks in practices, games, and lucky enough to have people around me that believed in me and stuck with me and learn from things.
You go on to have an incredible career in the NFL. You're now back in Ogden working with your former college coach, paying it forward and working together on putting together a junior college postgraduate program for student athletes who want to continue their career of playing football. Why has that been important for you to come back?
So it's been a fun project because of nothing else other than opportunity. And everyone here in this room who's up here tonight had someone who believed in them, someone who gave them an opportunity. And what we're trying to do with our new program is bring back some junior college football opportunities for kids who didn't have the opportunity, who through the disappearance of junior college football in the West over the years, those opportunities have gone away, and that's what it's all about for me, is opportunity. It's someone believing in you, someone giving you a chance, and you taking it from there and going with it.
You mentioned it, but looking back at your time at Weber State, what moments are you most grateful for? You mentioned some of the people that helped you get there. Who are those people, and what do you look back on the most?
Yeah, so many players and coaches. When you play a position like quarterback, you're always in the spotlight. Whether you throw the 6 interceptions or the 6 touchdowns, you're the one getting the blame or the credit. And I was lucky to have so many great teammates and coaches around me to help me through that and to share in the good times and the bad times. And it's you can't do it without people. And I've been lucky enough to have, whether it's my high school coach, my college coach, and coaches and teammates, great people around me who share in success and failure, and that's what it's all about. 7
different teams in the NFL. One lesson that you took from your time at Weber State to those 7 different teams?
I don't know if there's a specific lesson, but like I was telling the players today when we were talking, what I take from everything is, or what I've learned over the years, I should say, is all you can control is what you can control. You believe in yourself, you have support from the people you need it from, and you do what you can do, and all the other stuff that comes at you, whether it's media or coaches' decisions, that's all stuff you can't control. So I've been lucky enough to control what I can control and have great people around me, and it's been awesome.
Any final message to family, friends, former Wildcats?
Just what I've been saying is thankful to all the people who've been around me, my family over the years, my coaches, my teammates, and just you can't do it without people around you. And most sports are team sports, and you need those people.
Thank you, Jamie.
Thanks.
Congratulations. Give it up for Jamie.
Awesome. Thanks.
Kim Exner led the Eagles to an amazing 46-12 record in her final 2 seasons while in Cheney. Exner and the Eagles were Big Sky co-regular season champions in 1997 and earned an at-large berth to the NCAA tournament in 1998. A unanimous selection for 1998 Big Sky Conference MVP and first-team All-Big Sky honors. She was also the 1997 Big Sky Conference co-MVP and was a 3-time first-team All-Big Sky selection. She was also inducted into Eastern Washington's Hall of Fame in 2007. Kim Exner, Eastern Washington Eagle and member of the Big Sky Conference Hall of Fame.
But that's what Pam Parks told me to expect. For years now, the members of those teams gather down in San Diego without husbands or kids. It means Tim Rosenbach, you get to stay home. You're not going. Just the girls. Those Eagles share an unbreakable bond. Pam said lots of wonderful things about you, like your desire to win, your ability to hit off of 1 foot long before like that was a thing. She said you were smart, efficient, a great friend, and a great teammate. She also wants you to know that she found out about the time you forgot your jersey at the hotel in Missoula, and you knew you wouldn't get to play if you didn't have your jersey, so somehow you convinced the athletic trainer to steal the van and go retrieve it. You've been busted. Pam also takes credit for matching you up with your husband, Tim Rosenbach, but she's really not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing. In all seriousness, Exner was a first-team All-League selection 3 times and the League Player of the Year twice. She recorded a Big Sky record, 1,860 kills in her career. She's the first Big Sky Hall of Fame player inducted. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Kim Exner to the Big Sky Hall of Fame.
Kim, I just have to ask, whose idea were the little bobbleheads here?
I believe it was my setter, Canadian, Kim Maxwell, the other Canadian.
A fellow Canadian. You grew up in Vernon, British Columbia, and you didn't even realize or think about solely pursuing volleyball until your high school head coach saw something in you. How did she influence your love for the game?
She was pretty persistent. You know, I played basketball, I did track, I kind of did a little bit of everything throughout high school and had success in most of it. And she was a former Canadian national team player and kind of just kept picking away at me, and I was so gangly and green, and she did see something that I don't know if I saw, and put me on her team fairly immediately, which I don't know if I belong there yet. And she worked me over every practice and pushed me harder than a lot of the girls and knew I could take it. And her and I went head to head a number of times just in practice, because she'd get on the court every so often and hit balls at me and made me cry a few times, more than a few times, and toughened me up and sent me on my way.
Sounds like she knew best. You moved on to play at Eastern Washington, and when we were talking on the phone, you said, when I started there, we were terrible. What were your first memories of starting with the Eagles?
We weren't terrible. We played a lot of 5-set games and lost a lot of games in 5 sets. So the potential was there. It was just getting over the hump of how to win. And, you know, Pam found a way to patch us together and put the work in. And by sophomore season, we started to see a turn, and so on and so on. So there was something unique about us, the team chemistry, as we started to build the program and add more players that fit the mold. And things got a lot better shortly.
Yeah, to say the least. By the end of your time, Big Sky Conference champions, punch your ticket to the NCAA tournament. Yeah. What are some of your favorite memories with the athletes that are sitting here now?
Guys, you want to chip in here? Some of the favorite memories, we have a lot. You know, I was thinking about it because you asked another one of the folks up here, and I had a number of them go through my head, and we've had a lot of fun times, and most of them are definitely off the court. We talked about some last night. We all got together. A lot of stuff would not fly these days in 2023. Pam learned a lot last night about what kind of stuff we did. We did have one incident where our team trainer, he was also our first aid professor, and so we were driving up between Missoula and Bozeman, and we had played a terrible trick on him and Wade with the airline stewardess about offering a phone number, and this girl has a crush on you, and then Coco was our trainer, and he called the stewardess, and we played the long game back and forth, and someone pretended to be the stewardess, and he asked her out. And then we had the White Elephant Exchange at Christmas time, where we played the recordings for him, so he was a little mortified. So he got us back by driving us up in the middle of the night on our way to between Missoula and Bozeman for a road trip. The van started to get a little janky, and there was snow on the ground, and the van broke down, and we were all kind of sleepy and tired, and he popped the hood, and he's like, Exner, get in the driver's seat and start the van. And so I get in the driver's seat and start the van, and it roars up, and just blood goes across the windshield. And I hear him scream. And so I go out, and he's doubled over, and he drops 3 fingers in the snow and blood. No. And we've got, I don't know who was out like throwing up and on the side of the road, and 2 girls in the back, and I'm looking for ice because I just learned all this in first aid on packing snow, and I'm like, I got this, and he starts laughing, and it was just things like that happened often.
Just things like that.
That's just one of the many. We can talk after.
Yes, I want to hear more of these stories after, but in terms of right now, we have to wrap it up. My favorite thing that you said about your former teammates, you said they're like 12 sisters I never had but gained through volleyball.
Yeah. Absolutely.
What do you have to say to them now? And I mean, you've got a whole posse of people, former teammates,
and
coaches.
there are some that couldn't make it here.
Family.
I mean, I've got it. I've got everything. I've got my brother, my nephew, and my mom and my dad who put so many miles on to come see me play. My daughters, my husband here, my teammates. You know, that's the takeaway. All these years later, I have them with me. You know, I don't have my wins here and my trophies here. I've got them, and that's all I would ever want to take away from that.
Well, thank you. Congratulations. Thank you. Give it up for Kim Exner.
Charles Chick Hislop was the head coach of Weber State cross country and track and field for 38 years and led the Wildcats to 21 Big Sky championships during his tenure. He coached 26 athletes to 46 All-American honors and 2 to NCAA individual championships. The former Wildcat resides in the Utah Sports Hall of Fame, the Weber State Hall of Fame, and the USTFCCCA Hall of Fame. Plus, the current award for NCAA Division I Mountain Region Cross Country Men's Coach of the Year also bears his name. Hislop passed away in February of 2023. Chick Hislop, Weber State University Wildcat, and member of the Big Sky Conference Hall of Fame.
Weber State became known in the track world as Steeplechase U during the 38-year tenure of head coach Charles Chick Hislop. In the early 80s, Chick felt the event was being underutilized and seized an opportunity to teach good but not great distance runners. I don't know if that's a knock at you, if you because you're up here, because I think you're great, but to become efficient hurdlers and to run at an even pace. He felt they could excel. Over the next 13 years, he produced 11 steeplechase All-Americans. In 1983, his prized pupil, Farley Gerber, won the NCAA National Championship. Chick coached more than 1,000 track meets, and he coached in 106 Big Sky championships. His Wildcat teams won 22 conference titles. As noted, he's been in like every single Hall of Fame imaginable except for this one. And in 1996, he was the assistant coach for the Olympic team, and he was in charge of distance runners. Chick really did it all. He was also the wrestling coach at Weber State, and I heard a story about another track and field coach was questioning him about something, and they kind of had a back and forth. And apparently that wrestling background Chick had came in to his advantage. He was always willing to assist our staff in understanding all the nuances and intricacies of the track and field world. And for me, when I came to the Big Sky, track and field was not a sport I was familiar with, and I greatly appreciated that. Now, I will tell you that after he retired, he was also never afraid to call us and tell us like, yeah, your athlete of the week selection, yeah, you screwed that up. And it was Chick, so we probably did. He knew more than anyone. Just days before, we were able to inform all of our inductees of the honor. Chick passed away. And when the call came, when I saw Brad call me that morning, I knew. And I was really devastated that we didn't get a chance to tell him, but somehow I felt like he knew. We are honored to have his daughter Jill and his son Chris with us here tonight. Could you please stand? And we have invited current Weber State coach and one of Coach's former athletes, Paul Pilkington, up on stage tonight to shed more light on the coach's iconic career.
Thank you. Coach, when you were deciding where you wanted to compete at the collegiate level, what set Coach Hislop apart from the rest that made you say, I want to compete for that guy?
One of the things that he did is when he recruited his athletes, he didn't take them to a hotel, he took them to his house. And when I went on my recruiting visit, he kicked his oldest son out of his bed and I slept in his son's bed. And he did that all the time. You became family to him, and you could feel that and tell that, and you could tell that he's going to take care of you. He's going to be a good coach.
When you did compete for him, what are some of the fond memories that you look back on, or maybe even him yelling at you? I don't know, everything in between.
We all got yelled at. So. One of the things about him over time, he evolved as a coach. He got better and better and was constantly learning, which those of you that knew him, you think he's so hard-headed that he's not going to try something new, but he would. In fact, I was running professionally at the time, and I walked into his office one day to talk training with him, and there's a new computer sitting on the floor blocking the door. And I said, Coach, what are you doing with the computer? And he said, well, we have a new athletic director. He told me I have to have a computer and I have to use it. So I'm using it as a doorstop. But when it came to coaching and learning, he was very creative. He was always learning, and he was also teaching. He was an excellent teacher.
What did you learn from him the most or admire about his coaching style that you try to implement into your own now?
He drilled into all of us, you plan your race and you race your plan. And he meant that in life also. And we truly did that with him as a coach. We always had a plan in place. We knew it was well thought out. He was very systematic in the way he thought things through, which made him a very good, very excellent coach. And his legacy is still going to continue on. I mean, you saw Lindsay up here. I wouldn't have been able to coach her like we were able to have the success without Chick, without Coach being a mentor and a teacher. And it's still following through. The NCAA championships and USA championships for the men were won by a BYU steeplechaser this year. He's still in college. He won both of them, and he's being coached by Ed Eyestone. Ed was an assistant to Chick at Weber State before he went to BYU. All of the best steeplechase coaches in the country have learned from Coach Hislop. And in fact, he just did a clinic last winter and brought coaches into Weber State. So right up until the end, he was still teaching. So.
When you did learn of his passing, you've already shared some of the memories, but what memories instantly kind of came back for you, and what do you reminisce on the most when you think of him?
I coached with him when we won, I think we won 7 outdoor championships in a row. And he wouldn't, this is just Coach, he wouldn't buy championship rings. And I would say, Coach, why aren't you buying the team rings? He said, nobody needs 7 rings. And so, but what he'd do is he said, when they graduate, I'll buy them a ring. And he did that for every athlete that he ever came through his program. He'd buy him a ring when they graduate, because that was probably more important to him than winning championships even, that they got their degree, that they finished and graduated.
How do you hope his legacy lives on, not only within the Big Sky, but just in the world of track and field and cross country?
Well, even the young group of coaches that he taught last winter had immediate success, and I think that will continue on. We had a young coach from Virginia come out to the clinic. He had 2 finalists at the NCAAs, and he said, I never would have put him in the steeple if I hadn't come to the clinic that he put on this winter. So it'll continue to go on and evolve, and his teaching will still be passed down, hopefully, from coach to coach.
Coach, thank you so much for coming up here and sharing some of your memories of Chick Hislop. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Give it up for Coach.
Larry Krystkowiak headlined University of Montana hoops from 1982 through 1986. The 6'9" power forward holds records for career points scored and rebounds. Krystkowiak went on to a pro career with stops in San Antonio, Milwaukee, and Chicago, along with other cities. He shifted his focus to coaching, returning to Missoula in 2004 to lead the Grizzlies to back-to-back NCAA appearances, advancing to the second round in 2006. Larry Krystkowiak, University of Montana Grizzly, and member of the Big Sky Conference Hall of Fame.
John Stockton, Karl Malone, Scottie Pippen, Kobe Bryant, Shaq, and Michael Jordan. Some of the biggest names in NBA history. Larry Krystkowiak can say he was a teammate of all of them. I'm venturing to guess you are the only person in the room tonight who can say that. Anyone else? All right, I did not think so. Basketball provided Larry Krystkowiak with a lifetime full of memories. He provided the same for young kids growing up in Montana who referred to their idol only as Crisco. One of my absolute best friends was one of those kids. I called him up Wednesday night to let him know I'd have the honor of emceeing this event and that you'd be here. Larry's going through an extremely challenging time right now, and I could sense just the mention of your name provided an outlet for him. It took him back to all those nights he watched you at Dahlberg Arena on your way to becoming a 3-time Big Sky MVP, scoring 2017 career points and pulling down 1,105 rebounds. Your name took him back to attending Grizzly basketball camps in the summer. Like you, Larry, he shot hoops in parks and in gyms as a youngster in Great Falls, Montana. He probably thought about that night in Portland in 2005 when you coached the Grizzlies to the Big Sky Championship. And he ended up celebrating at the same establishment as you. There's a story there where I almost missed my flight the next morning, but we're not going to go there right now. Or he thought about a year later in Salt Lake City when your 12-seed Grizzlies upset Nevada in the NCAA tournament. Larry, you may not fully realize it, but you provided an outlet for so many in your native state. Please help me in welcoming Larry Krystkowiak to the Big Sky Hall of Fame.
Can't believe I'm sitting here.
Why?
I just can't believe it. I'm overwhelmed. If I could just take a minute, Commissioner Werstesill, Tom, great event. Love what you guys are doing. Alex, John, you guys are doing a fantastic job. And then I probably can speak for all the inductees. We haven't had a chance to really interact and co-mingle and everything, but man, some amazing stories from y'all and accomplishments and stuff. So I'll congratulate the inductees on behalf of all the inductees.
Coach, I love it. John mentioned that you have been a role model, to say the least, to so many in your home state. But I want to give a shout out to some of your role models growing up in Shelby, Montana. Mark Forrester, neighbor and student athlete that you kind of looked up to. your brother, and your middle school coach.
Yeah.
How did they shape your love for the game, as well as, you know, just the town that you grew up in Shelby?
Yeah, I think when I got news of this, and we spoke earlier this week about where your mind goes, and mine just went back to being little, back to being a little kid again. And boy, it's been that kind of week. But the people, I think the game's been great to me, and I love the game, but it's the people that made a difference. I was fortunate enough to grow up west side of Great Falls. We lived in a mobile home, and there was the nicest outdoor basketball court across the street. And that happened at the same time that all the high school kids, Mark Forrester being one of them, I just spoke with him last summer. These kids were the sophomores, juniors, seniors at CMR and Great Falls High. And so in that neighborhood, what you wanted to do was like those role models. And I used to play with my own age kids, days before cell phones and the days before thinking you had to always play 5-on-5. I'd play with my age kids, and I'd hang around the court, and I would hope the older kids would show up. And then what I would really hope is that the older kids would show up and that they'd have an odd number so that I got to play. And that's what I want to do. I remember my brother taking me to the Tri-Optimus basketball contest. I don't know if it's still happening. I sure hope it is. But he drove me across town in Great Falls when I was 8 years old. I still have the trophy. And it was a second place trophy, but it didn't really matter. But you dribbled and you passed and you shot and you got this little trophy, and I took it back to our neighborhood on the west side of town, and I remember getting the affirmation that this might be the ticket. You know, I got high fives and everybody was really happy for me. And then blessed with a junior high coach, Gerald Littlejohn, who's no longer with us, a tough-minded coach that taught you how to take charges when you were in 7th and 8th grade. Not many coaches were doing that, and taught you the importance of playing aggressively. Tim Blaine was my high school coach at Shelby, Montana, a Class B school. And Coach rolled in the first year he arrived. He was 6'9", and he had played for the University of Montana, which was quite a blessing because you know, not many kids in small town Montana get to play for a former Division I athlete. So just a lot of things I think about the good fortune and the luck of being in the right place at the right time and having those types of people that believed in you, and I latched on to hoops.
You mentioned the people is really kind of the thing that you reminisce on and think about the most. Who are some of those people at your time at Montana when you became the all-time leading scorer and rebounder for the Grizz?
Yeah, it's a really long list, and I don't want to leave anybody out, but it's like when they say you always find out who your friends are when it's moving day and they show up. Our trainer, Dennis Murphy, shows up today. You know, and Dennis taped a lot of our ankles. He was part of the Band of Brothers. Got a number of teammates that I've stayed extremely close with. Derek Pope was my idol. He was a senior, I was a freshman. He wanted me to be his roommate, of all things, with this punk freshman kid. So we lived in Miller Hall together. And his mentorship made a great deal. My coaches, Mike Montgomery, Hall of Fame basketball coach, that was another stroke of good fortune. His head assistant, Stu Morrill, who was a terrific big man coach that we got in a number of fights just playing 3-on-3. And the teammates, just, it's crazy. A lot of the inductees I've heard that are involved with team sports, the Eastern Washington volleyball crew, you know, we have similar trips where we try to get together and share that. Nobody can ever take that away from you. And the other thing, the sidebar to that is, I had a lot of teammates that were willing to enjoy me having success. And we didn't have ego, and we didn't have people that didn't want to throw you the ball. We had a strong-minded coach that made sure the ball got to the right spots. But, you know, the willingness and the sacrifice that those guys made. And then comment that I always use in coaching, and I feel very strongly about it, is the strength of the pack is the wolf, and the strength of each wolf is the pack. And I really feel that that's powerful in team sports, and that's something that I felt for all those years.
We have to wrap it up, Coach, but I do want to give you one last final moment. You've had such an incredible life journey and story that is so inspiring. What's your piece of advice to kids who have gone through a similar life path as you?
Yeah, well, I'm a big Ted Lasso fan. I could watch that show endlessly. I was looking at favorite quotes. You know, Tom, you broke out the math to start with. You know, do the math, and it's 0.000014. So you're saying there's a chance? I mean, that's what it is. You got to believe. I had a number of people, the same that another inductee mentioned, where you get motivational talk, and then you have the naysayers, and everybody's different. You find your motivation, and just keep on believing, like Ted Lasso says.
I love it, Coach. Congratulations.
Thanks, Alex.
So well deserved.
Thank
Give
you.
it up for Coach Larry Kostoviak.
Thank you.
Margarita Karnakova remains one of the most decorated athletes in Big Sky history. She was named the Big Sky's MVP in all 4 years while at Sacramento State, becoming the first Big Sky student athlete to achieve the feat in any sport. She led Sacramento State to 4 Big Sky titles and 4 NCAA tournament appearances, while becoming the program's first All-American. The former Hornet was inducted into Sacramento State's Hall of Fame in 2020. Margarita Karnakova, Sacramento State Hornet and member of the Big Sky Conference Hall of Fame.
Well, as Commissioner Wistersill has mentioned, about 200,000 athletes have competed in the Big Sky Conference in 60 years. Exactly one can claim to have won the MVP in their respective sport 4 consecutive years. She's with us tonight. It's hard to argue that Sacramento State's Margarita Karnakova is not the most dominant Big Sky Conference athlete ever. Rita never lost a Big Sky Conference match. I don't think you ever lost a set, did you? There were a lot of those like bagel breadstick matches for sure, right? They caused tennis 6-0, 6-1, 6-0, 6-1. She led the Hornets to 4 straight Big Sky titles and ascended to as high as 14 in the ITA rankings. She earned All-American honors by advancing to the round of 16 at the 2004 NCAA Singles Championship. A former coach once told the Sacramento State student newspaper that the native of Russia had a combination of size, speed, explosiveness, agility, and balance. In college, she had a dominating backhand and apparently had a love for American vending machines. I don't know if that still holds true. I think there's a couple out there, but welcome to the Big Sky Conference Hall of Fame.
John, you stole my line.
I know.
You
Yesterday.
stole
I
my
know.
line.
Sorry.
The vending machines.
Yeah.
So you come from Russia to Sacramento, and you're a part of a team of all international student athletes. I asked you earlier this week, what are some surprises that you and your teammates found out about the American culture? Tell the story.
It's just abundance of food, obviously. I don't know, the first time I saw Lay's chips, I was 17 years old, and then a year later I come to America and there's more food than anybody can imagine. And traveling with the girls on the team and just waiting when the match is over and getting to the rooms and then going to the vending machines. That was kind of the highlights of our trips, basically. And then now I have a 10-year-old. I don't tell her about vending machines.
So you're saying the secret to never losing a Big Sky match is the muffins, right? What was it in the vending
It was
machines?
the muffins, the M&Ms, Oh my gosh, I don't remember. But I don't know if this is the secret.
Okay.
But
What is the secret?
I don't know. Just the way my parents raised me. I guess it was a secret for me.
How did they raise you?
Independent, strong, know what you want, and work really hard to achieve it.
You worked really hard, to say the least, at Sacramento State, going down in the Big Sky Hall of Fame for the Hornets. And I love so many things about our conversation earlier this week. The first thing you said is, you know, at that time in life, you're trying to learn English while you're trying to pass class. And it was really hard to find the light at the end of the tunnel. But a big help in that was your teammates. You said that we were each other's support system. We were there for each other. What are some of your fondest memories and moments that you cherish with them?
I don't know how to express it, but I've never been in a van before, besides all the vending machine stories. But traveling with them and being just in the van, I remember going different places, and all of us, 10 of us together, from different countries, being excited to be on the field trip and playing and being on the team. That we all had all our differences, but we all connected really well at the same time. We all struggled at school for the first couple of years, I'm sure. So, and we've achieved a lot as a team. And me individually, but all of the girls that were on the team, just being here in a different country and going through it, going through the process and enjoying it, and knowing that it will get us somewhere.
Back to, you know, kind of what I was saying about how it being hard to find the light at the end of the tunnel in that moment. Of course, your teammates helped you, but you say looking back now, you owe everything to Sacramento State. Can you expand on that a little bit?
I am still involved in tennis. I met my husband in Sac State. I have a daughter who plays tennis now. And I still live in Sacramento. So it started there and it's still there. So I'm thankful for all of it.
What is your piece of advice to those international student athletes who come such a long way and put themselves in such an uncomfortable situation that a lot of us here can't even really relate to, on how to not only just get there, but succeed?
Yeah. I think you just have to keep faith in the process and keep going and don't listen to your parents if they want you to come back home. Just say, no, I'm staying. And that's that. And then finish your 4 years, and then you're stronger, you're an adult, and then you can make a decision. Finish what you started, and then see what it brings next.
Any final things you want to say? We have to wrap it up, but anything you want to say to Sacramento State fans, family, friends, people who are watching?
Where's the camera?
You're right there.
Hi, Stassi. That's my daughter, my little princess. Love you. That's it.
Perfect. Thank you, Margarita. Congratulations.
Michael Roos stands as one of the best linemen to ever play in the Big Sky. Roos was an All-American for Eastern Washington from 2001 to 2004, while being named the FCS Lineman of the Year his senior season. Following his career with the Eagles, Roos was selected in the second round by the Tennessee Titans in the 2005 NFL Draft. Roos played 10 seasons in the NFL, earning All-Pro honors 3 times. He was inducted into Eastern Washington's Hall of Fame in 2016. Michael Roos, Eastern Washington Eagle, and member of the Big Sky Conference Hall of Fame.
My first year in the Big Sky Conference office back in 2004, I took a call from an irate volleyball parent. He was upset his daughter wasn't going to be named wasn't named the league MVP. And he wanted justice. Janie knows who this person is. I tried to explain to him that sometimes that happens. and that the best football player in the Big Sky, an offensive lineman named Michael Roos, likely wasn't going to be our league MVP when that was announced the following week. To put it mildly, Michael, he was not happy I compared his daughter to an offensive lineman.
That's fair.
He didn't understand what I was talking about, but I was right. Michael Roos was the best Big Sky football player, and he proved that with an all-pro career in the NFL with the Tennessee Titans. Not bad for a young man who was born in Estonia and didn't play football until his senior year in high school. His coach at the time, Paul Wolf, who is here tonight as the head coach of the Cal Poly Mustangs, said he offered Roos a scholarship after watching him dunk a basketball. Roos came to Eastern as a tight end, then moved to defensive line, but Paul said he told Michael that if he moved to the offensive line, you would be a starter for 3 years. And if you worked hard, you'd be able to take care of your family for the rest of your life. In his first career start at offensive tackle, Roos went head-to-head with Arizona State's Terrell Suggs, and he didn't allow a sack. The rest, as they say, is history. He started every game at Eastern Washington from that point forward, started all 16 games in 8 of his 10 NFL seasons. Roos and his wife, Catherine, are also to thank for the red turf at what is now known as Roos Field. You can tell he likes the color red. We are so incredibly happy to cap tonight's induction ceremony by welcoming Michael Roos to the Big Sky Conference Hall of Fame.
I have to say, it was an attempt of a dunk. When Coach Wolf saw me, I missed it. And Suggs did have 4 sacks in that game, just none against me.
I love it. Michael, John mentioned it, but you didn't start playing football until your senior year of high school.
Correct.
What was your first impressions of the game?
I don't know what I'm doing. I mean, I just decided to play it after playing basketball my whole life and just didn't want to miss out on, what could be. I was always afraid of getting hurt, so I decided to play my last year of high school and was a receiver / tight end, just in the slot.
When did you realize, I think I could be pretty good at this? I kind of like this.
It took a while, probably my junior year. It took a lot of coaches telling me that, yeah, you're going to be good or you are good, and I think it helped me in the long run, never believing it, and just kept working hard and trying my best to just be the best I can be, and eventually realizing that, yeah, it might be a future there.
Speaking of coaches, we've got 2 of them in the crowd tonight.
There's actually 4.
4? Okay,
Yeah.
Thank you for correcting me. Name them.
Kim's husband, Rosie, was the offensive coordinator when I got there.
Okay.
Rich Rasmussen was my very short-lived tight end coach because I got moved to defensive line. Coach Best became my O-line coach his first year, and then obviously Coach Wolf was the head coach.
How did they impact your love for the game, and how did they prepare you for your all-pro career with the Titans?
Well, Paul and AB are both obviously O-linemen, and so it was very much the grind it out, suck it up, tough it out, but there's always love and respect there both ways. So whether you do good or bad, there's respect both ways. So it kind of taught me to just bust your butt and work hard, no matter what, and see what comes of it.
Of all your accolades, what is the significance of being inducted into this Hall of Fame?
We talked today early on the phone, and I still it doesn't fully quite hasn't hit me. But watching everybody else come before me and all the stories and everybody that's throughout the last 20, 30 years of the Big Sky and what they've accomplished, kind of hit a little more. It means a lot, to be included with the same people.
Best memories that you reminisce on the most from your time in Cheney?
I think there's probably a few, like Kim talked about, that I'm not going to talk about, but I don't have as good a memory as possibly killing someone. But I think our last year of making the playoffs finally, and excuse me, of kind of I feel like starting where Eastern started the uprise of going to the playoffs and doing that stuff. So our final year for me and my buddies as seniors going to Southern Illinois, when they were one of the best teams in the country and bringing in this West Coast kind of aired out offense, and they had no idea how to defend it, and kind of going in there and just beating them just lights out. I think that was a great memory.
You've given, to say the least, you've given back so much to the Eags. Roos Field, named after you, due to a very generous donation and leadership and redesigning the field and amplifying it. Why was that important for you to give back?
I think anybody else that's been up here so far would agree if you wouldn't be where you are in this chair if it wasn't for the school you went to. So however long or little you were in that school, it is who shaped you as a woman, man, adult person you are. So to me, it just seems, if you're able, which I was fortunate enough to be able to, it seems like the most natural thing to give back to the people that helped you get to where you were.
I'm happy we're ending the interview process with you because we have all of the football players and student athletes in the room tonight who are a part of the Big Sky Football Media Day that we are hosting on Monday. What's your advice to them, as many, if not all of them, hope to pursue football past college?
So me and the other football guys talked to them earlier, and I'll reiterate some of the stuff we talked about shortly, but it was just, like I think Jamie's made a good point again up here saying, you had an opportunity, you take it, you work hard and do the work. So whatever opportunity might arise to you, no matter how small, and you might not always realize that it's an opportunity until later, which means no matter what you're going through, put the work in, learn, have good character, put the work in, and good things will happen.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Give it up for Michael and all of our inductees.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Wistersill, for the record, I would like to let you know that we are on the verge of finishing this show in under 2 hours. But before we call it a night, I would like to thank the members of the Big Sky Conference staff. I am so blessed to work with such passionate and dedicated people, and they know that they have been there for me today. So thank you. I think tonight you've heard just how great the Big Sky Conference is. It's not always about the wins and the losses. It's about the memories you make, the relationships you make that will last a lifetime. It has been a great night. It has been a tremendous, tremendous honor to serve as your MC. If you're at home watching, thank you. If you're here, drive home safely. But I think since we finished so early, I think this party should keep going. Have a good night, everybody.